Our next speaker, he is the Global Markets President for BNI, supporting 18 countries. He is also the National Director for BNI Singapore and BNI Sri Lanka, and the National Director for Corporate Connections India. He has a rich experience of working in multinational companies and has worked in the US for over 12 years. He returned to India in 2003 to establish the Asia-Pacific region for an HR company. He set up the operations for the multinational in India and scaled it up to 800 plus employees. In 2004, he facilitated the establishment of a school for underprivileged kids, which has grown to over 700 plus kids across 7 schools. He believes that education is essential to generate prosperity for the underprivileged and to transform their fortunes one family at a time. His journey in BNI started in 2006. He was the first BNI franchisee for BNI India, Bangalore region, and over the past 10 years, the region has grown to 2,100 plus entrepreneurs. The BNI platform enabled him to buy a staffing company, grow it over a period of 7 years, and sell it via a BNI referral. In Jan 2016, he was invited to lead the country operations for BNI India, and under his leadership, BNI India doubled the membership in just 26 months. Earlier this year, in February, he was awarded the International Achievers Award at the Indian Consulate in Dubai for his outstanding contribution to foster entrepreneurial growth. He is also called the Startup Scale-Up Guru by the National Achievers Congress. He currently lives in Singapore, loves to travel across the world, watch movies, read books, and enjoy spending time with his kids. He's a firewalker, bungee jumper, skydiver, and his passion to help others achieve goals that they would normally think impossible is tremendous. He believes that with the right network, even the impossible can become possible. And his vision is to impact over 100,000 entrepreneurs grow their business by 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome someone who will always be our very own Mac Srinivasan.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Welcome,
Thank you,
Mac.
Adi.
Welcome, Mac.
Thank you. Good morning, BNI. Wow, it's great to be back here in India, and also great to be back here with the whole India leadership. A vision that we had, several years ago when I took on India and this is going to just double and triple. And imagine one day we're going to be sitting, maybe a few years from now. I think in Mumbai you have the cricket stadium. It's a Wankhede Stadium, right? Or the Karnataka you have the Kantirva Stadium. Or what about in Calcutta? What's that stadium called? Eden Garden. Won't it be awesome? One day, like maybe 10 years or maybe 8 years from now, sitting in Eden Garden and Graham coming right on stage with Shah Rukh Khan or something, and both doing the dance like he danced yesterday. That'll be awesome. Graham, you better learn your dance moves. Great. So I'm just going to spend a few minutes with you sharing some of the journey. Murli covered it very well with BNI India. But as I was putting this presentation together, I said, okay, what can I share with you of what we did that can apply in your own businesses? Would that be okay? So what I'm going to share with you is something that you can take and maybe apply 1 or 2 of these concepts in your own businesses. So as far as the growth in India, I think the previous slide, okay. Technology. There's a big graph behind it, and it says that in the last 2 years we had more than 77% growth. Maybe it's more than. When we took on India, it was 9,861 members. And I think in Murli, January of this year, we had crossed 21,000. Now we have crossed 23,000. So we have more than doubled the size of India in about, let's say, 26 to 28 months. So what I want to share with you, what are some of the key factors in exponential growth of your business? Would that be okay if I share with you that? The key factors. So I took my experience in India, and then I broke it down, and I was learning. I was reading from a different book. And I said, hey, look, this is exactly what we did at this particular stage. And so there are 4, I would say, timings in a business, or 4 different speeds of your business. I'm going to be sharing these 4 different speeds and how it relates to your business. So the first speed is what I call the functional speed. The functional speed is your home team, the team that runs your core business. We are all business owners here, right? In this room? Okay. Do we have teams that support us within our office? We do? Yes? Yeah, so that's called the functional team. For us, It's our GST team that's part of our functional team. So the functional team is the one, if I have to take an example of this particular headset, thanks to Varsha and thanks to somebody behind the stage who let me loan it. I hope it still works when they get it back. So a functional team is something that happens like day in and day out. These are the daily functions that you have to do in your business. Okay? These are things, maybe it's your accounting function, HR function. These are things that have to go on clockwork. You got this point? So building a good functioning team that works well together is very, very important to have. So this is what we did when we first took on India. We started building infrastructure. We had teams that helped us. We had, for example, I know yesterday Graham mentioned, we built our supplies team in place. We started building the office team in place. For me, the APAC team, in that sense, this would be what we'll call the functional speed. The people who are making sure our functions are happening on a day-to-day basis. Then moving on is your process speed. This is very important. You need to define what is the process speed in your business. What happens in your chapter the moment you get your application? How is it processed? Do you just get it and maybe over the weekend when you have time you make a call back as a follow-up? Or do you call immediately within the 24 to 48 hours? What do you guys do? 24 to 48 or over the weekend when you have a call? 24 to 48. That's what happens in India. We've been telling, constantly messaging that out, 24 to 48 hours. I was recently in a country where we did a phenomenal visitor day. That country had not launched for 4 years. So we put together Facebook ads and everything. We went in, we had 40 people at the info session. I was really pumped up. And I was, just like I thought in India, 24 to 48 hours, the follow-up will happen. I had also messaged that, but guess what? When I called back later the next day when I was flying out, I said, what happened to the follow-up? How many do we have? I was so tired, we didn't go to that, I'll get it done next week. So that's when we lose momentum. Do you get it? So in your business, you may be an insurance agent. What happens the moment you have a prospect? What is the next step? Do you have to book an appointment? Maybe you have to take a, they have to go to a medical test. Maybe it has to go to underwriting. And then, so every business has got a process. So define that process. For us, for example, when a brand new franchisee comes into play, we have a process. What should be done? Who's the district director? Saumika, for example, chooses or does the initial calls. That's one step of the process. What happens next? They do a Nathan. So there is a Nathan interview. Then they go through a franchise selection board. After the franchise selection board, they come to the final interview. And before the final interview, of course, somewhere along the process, they have to go to a chapter meeting. So each process is well defined for us. So who determines the process? In our case, in the BNI, it is our national directors. Each of our national directors may determine what the process is in your. These are people responsible in our BNI world. These are the people responsible for the process within their country. Okay? So is this clear as far as process speed? So you need to define the process speeds in your own businesses. Yes or yes? Yes. All right. So let's move to the third one. This timing speed is a little bit more difficult to explain. But the timing speed is, it happens by experience in your business. For me, when we took on BNI India, one of the experiences I had in the past was we could not predict when the next trainings were going to be held. So even if I do a recruitment drive, I would not know when the launch director training or support director training, it was kind of disjoint. So we said, okay, for a timing speed, we need to have trainings every month, and we need to also spread it out closer to the location. So that was the timing of, based on the experience, we implemented that timing. Now Murli is doing one more thing even better. What he's saying is, when we do recruitment of brand new EDs, within the next 90 days, there should be a training in the same location. Okay, so it makes the system more efficient. So every business has got a different timing speed. You need to know when to invest in the market, when to invest in social media. You can't put Diwali ads when it is Christmas, right? So there's a timing for everything. So understanding the timing speed of your business. So who determines the timing speed? It is based on your experience. For BNI, it's the experience of our global support team, the overall global support team. When should be an MSP done? And these are different core processes of your business that determines the timing speed. Are we good with timing speed? Okay, what are the 3 speeds? The first one is functional speed. What does the functional speed consist of? Your teammates. What's the second one? Process speed. What does the process speed consist of? The process of your business. And the third thing is timing speed. And finally, we come to the expansion speed. You are good at what you're doing. You have a fantastic team. You know when to deploy and apply things. But unless you're able to duplicate yourself, and like Murli was mentioning, and some of the speakers yesterday was mentioning, letting go, training somebody else. You need to be working on the business, and we hear that a lot, on the business and not in the business, but I'm going to come back to that a little bit later. But what that actually means is the duplication of yourself. You have to duplicate yourself. You should not be always a superstar in your business. Okay, it's great that you are a superstar based on your behavioral style, but unless you duplicate yourself, so how do we duplicate ourselves in BNI? When we took on BNI, we realized that the core team in BNI are the director consultants. Even today, I believe the grassroots of BNI lie in the director consultants, because the director consultants are the ones that are meeting our end clients. Who are our end clients? Our members. You agree with that? So for a member, brand new member getting into the chapter, they see somebody once a month showing up as though he or she is a BNI representative. For them, the director consultant is the grassroots. Would you agree? Okay, so we decided that grassroots had to be nurtured. They have to be coached and trained properly. And so the expansion of any BNI related business was, unless I'm able to provide the executive director a way to nurture that grassroots by launch director training, train the trainer training, support director training, and that's how you need to find out what is the grassroots in your business and then duplicate yourself. Maybe you're in a franchising business, maybe you need to start expanding to multiple outlets in that sense. So for us, our grassroots, this is an example of our Mumbai DC team. We put in a huge DC team here, similar to what we had in Bangalore earlier, we have in Bangalore, and we built this out here. This DC team, in May 2016, they set a goal of launching 10 chapters. 9 is already done, and they have 2 more chapters launching this month, this very month. So unless you have a team, you cannot grow. But more than having a team, it's your ability to duplicate yourself and letting go and having the trust that they will be able to duplicate you. It's okay if they make mistakes. It's okay if they make mistakes. They make one mistake, but if they are in a situation where they're continuing to make a mistake, don't hesitate as leaders to take action. Sometimes we need to let go of people, and I'm talking to leadership here. Being in leadership does not mean you're the most popular guy or girl around. Do you agree? If you are here for a popularity contest, you're not supposed to be in this room. We are not here to be winning a popularity contest, but we are here to be effective leaders, because unless we are effective, our only sole purpose is to make sure our members are making more money. And we need to put the process and systems in place so that our members, whatever we do, is generating that. We are all in so that all of us, the members, are able to make more connections and more money. With that, leaders become great not because of their power, but because of their power to empower others. Unless we empower them, you're the next level of leaders. So later on, we're going to have a fantastic speaker, Marshall Goldsmith, with us. There are other books on leadership by John Maxwell, teaching you first how to become a leader, and then the next level, leader of leaders. So I encourage you as leadership to start reading these, because you are leading other leaders. So leadership means we need to empower people, inspire them. We need to constantly lead change. And more importantly, as leaders, we constantly need to keep visioning. The way Murli visioned here today. 50,000 people making 50,000 crores. That's a vision. That's a goal. I'll be visioning that APAC is going to be 100,000 members by end of 2020. We are around 56,000 members right now, and we are growing at a rapid pace. Okay, rapid pace we are growing, and that's because the visioning. The more you vision for your chapter, your whole team should know what the vision of the organization is, unless we are all aligned. So make sure you're doing a lot of visioning, and we are going to, this is one of my last slides. I just want to show that these things can be Googled, you can learn, but in leadership, there are two or three different phases of leadership. Some leaders come in and just for directive, very directive, hey, look, this is it, you have to do it. We have all experienced them, right? I'm sharing this because many times when I was in the past running my, working with my partners to run the Bangalore region, I used to see some director consultants who would just come in and be like Hitlers in their chapters, and that's not, that is one way of leadership style, but from that directing style, they go into something called the coaching style. Okay, on the y-axis, we have the supportive behavior, and the other one is directive behavior. The ideal thing is to be more on the supporting style and delegating. In delegating is when you start getting into the empowerment part. Does this make sense? Okay, so whenever we start, we are going to have all these 4 leadership styles in our environment, in your companies. And whenever you see somebody doing too much of directing style, it's a matter of coaching them to go to the coaching style, which is the better than the directing style, and from coaching style, getting into the supporting style, where they're not only directing, but they're also working along with them, and finally letting go, and so that they're able to take on more, giving them the empowerment. And so now as I wrap up, this is something I call it the leaky bucket syndrome. Have you heard of the leaky bucket? Yeah? Does anyone have a leaky bucket in your home? Yeah? Not your wallet. So what's the leaky bucket? I just want to share with you, see, in APAC, I'm just going to talk APAC numbers. I'm also going to drill this down to each country. But since in APAC, did you know from January to now, we put in 20,551 members, 20,000 members. Imagine if we had retained all those 20,000 members, we'd be rocking. But I'm taking the total number of members we are pouring into the bucket, and I'm taking the total number of net adds that remained in that bucket. I mean, I know this is not the net add ratio, this is nothing. I'm just calling it the leaky bucket ratio because I'm sure BNI Connect's got its retention ratios. For me, if I put in 20,000 people into APAC and only 6,869 of them retained, that means I'm having a 33% in my mind, the amount of effort that's gone is contributed to only a net add of 6,800 members. Is this clear? Yeah, so if I go down to India, India's actually got a good ratio. India is now, we put in 8,700 brand new members in the system. We poured in water, 8,000 liters worth of water, but we retain only 4,800 liters out of that. Yeah? And if you take a look, India is among one of the countries which are retaining higher, but the goal here is I would like to see this ratio getting to more like 70-75%. I know there will always be an evaporation rate from the bucket because of sunlight and other people that have to leave the system, but we need to set a vision, a target. Okay, can we get this from, like many countries are about 30%, can we get it to 40, can we get it to 50? The only competitor is ourselves. You don't need to compete with any other country over here, but compete with yourselves. Can India get from 55%, can they take it next to 65%? Can they take it to 75%? This leaky bucket ratio, it's a term that I just threw in there. I'm not sure if the right term or not. I'm sure Dr. Caroline Irwin, who's in our research department, will come with the right term, but this is a layman's term. Here, if I break it down by zone, 55% is zone 1. We've taken APAC and taken it to different zones. Zone 1 is our India, Singapore, Sri Lanka. Zone 2 is the markets that speak Mandarin language, China, Macau, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. Zone 3, we have 7 countries in Zone 3. A lot of activity happens in Zone 3. They are listed here. Zone 4 is South Korea and Japan, and Zone 5 is Australia, New Zealand. So in order for us to manage and support these different regions, we see synergies in these zones. So we keep these as zonal centers. In the future, I envision having offices in these zonal centers that are going to be supporting. If I'm bringing on a brand new country, like for example, India is already a huge center, right? So when I'm bringing on Myanmar, are the people from Myanmar here? Yes, please stand up, please. They are potential candidates from Myanmar. Please do connect with them. Give them a big hand. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming. And this gentleman from Bangladesh, yes, he's also here. So please do connect with them. So they are potential people who are looking at taking BNI into their countries. Okay, so in addition to all the other national, this is the first time all our national directors across APAC are here, with the exception of New Zealand, who could not make it, and Indonesia, that's going into transition now. So so this is, I just want to say, if I have a vision that I need an ask from you, is to make sure that in terms of retention in your chapters, that all of us as leaders keep an eye. It's not just holding large visitors days and keep pouring water into the bucket if you have a big hole in your bucket. There's a song, have you heard of the hole in the bucket song? Yeah, who's going to sing it? We need to create a song for BNI. There's a hole in the bucket, dear Liza, there's a hole in the bucket. Yeah, so that's a song that I probably have one of our singers generate, but that is important for us to keep being aware of. But as I wrap up, I'm going to go back to this example. If I go back here, and okay, if I can untangle this in 2 minutes, I think I have 3 more minutes left. So what did I say in this? I said this, when I started my speech, I said that this was representing your functional team, right? If you do something with your functional team, any changes in your functional team, other than fostering, nurturing, and growing it. Let's say you cut short, you fire 5, 10 people in your function team, what happens? The delivery becomes much smaller. Or what I'm trying to explain here, in order for that expansion mode to happen, you need to have a growing functional team. And this functional team it is one of the most core parts of your business. So do not ignore your functioning team, because if on one side you are suddenly expanding your business greatly, and if you do not nurture your functioning team, and part of the functioning team is yourself, you cannot say that you're going to be completely hands off your business. I'm working on my business, and I'm not working in my business is a dream. It's a dream. I don't think it's possible. You can work. You need to be functionally involved in your business, which means once in a while you do, as executive directors and leaders, go meet with your teams. I cannot be an executive director just sitting out and saying, look, I have now 30 chapters, 40 chapters, I already have a good team, and they're not. No, we are all on a daily basis. You need to be keeping some tab on your businesses, whether it's via a dashboard, whether you're making a call, making a relationship, and connections with that. So it's important that the functioning team is one of the most critical components in case you want to have massive levels of expansion like what we have experienced in India. With that, I would like to thank Ivan Meisner for putting this whole thing together for us, and let's give him a big hand. Thank you, Ivan Meisner. And Ivan also, the reason I put his photograph is, isn't he one of the empowering leaders? Is he sitting in 72 countries trying to micromanage things? Imagine Ivan calling every day, hey, what's happening? It's impossible. You cannot grow that way. He's one of the good examples of an empowering leader. So whenever you want to draw inspirations from leaders that have empowered others. With that, thank you very much, and have a fantastic conference. You have fantastic speakers coming up. Thank you very much.
Yeah, BNI One India. Give it up once again, Max Srinivasan.
Thanks. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.